Welcome to the Mystery Mouse Podcast. My name is Holly, and I'm coming to you from Colorado, where I live with my husband David and our 5 kids and our many pets. And this is a podcast mostly about knitting and other fiber-related crafts and things like that, but I think it's all knitting today. Maybe some crochet. If I have time, I will show you some crochet also. But anyway, today is June 29th, I think. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it's June 29th. Anyway, so right at the end of June, I don't know what's happening to the summer. Actually, I don't really like summer, so I'm kind of happy that it's going quickly, but at the same time, I have a lot of things that I need to do in the summer to get ready for the fall and winter. So in that way, I'm a little like, what's happening? I'm going to be talking to you today about what I've been knitting and some plans I have for the future. Also, I will have some book talk, just a little bit. I left my book somewhere. I'll have to go find my book when it's time. But yes, so before I get started with what I'm knitting, let me talk about what I'm wearing. I'm wearing the Second Story Tee by Debbie O'Neill. And I finished this since my last podcast. I was really close, I think, at the end of my last podcast. It was really close to being done. And I finished it. And so I seamed it up and I really like it. It fits really well. I'll insert a picture here of like full body me wearing it. I made it cropped, much more cropped than the pattern. And I think mine probably has less negative ease. I just kind of picked a size and I didn't swatch. And it turned out just fine. Usually I find that I don't need to swatch as long as it's not going to be a very close fit anyway to start with. Or anyway, this was knit in 2 pieces, the front and the back. And so you can kind of tell, like, when you were knitting up the back, you can kind of see, you know, I laid it down like by some of my other shirts, like I wanted it to fit, and it was almost exactly the same width, so I was very happy with that. So anyway, I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's got this diagonal rib and a little plain stockinette on this shoulder, and it's just a drop sleeve, and you add a little cuff, and it was very simple. And I'm super glad I didn't have to knit sleeves because I hate knitting sleeves. I mean, I like to wear sleeves when it's cold, but I wanted to knit a tee, so it worked out really good. And actually, now that it's done, I really, really, really wanted to do another one. Not necessarily this pattern, although I really liked it. But just another tee because they're so much quicker than a regular sweater for me. The only thing I don't really like about this pattern is that it's very boat necky. So the neck comes up pretty high, and sometimes it kind of chokes me a little bit. But, and I could have just knit the front, like after you bind off for the neck, because you knit it top up or bottom up. I could have just bound off a little bit more gradually and then did more shoulder rows. But I that was like the last thing, and I wanted to be done, and so I didn't, and I kind of regret it, but not enough not to wear it because I really do like it. Oh, here I can talk about my Beauty and the Beast mug of the day. I'm getting near the end of my collection, but this is a mug that one of my friends gave me. It's just Belle. And she is the best Disney princess, in my opinion. She doesn't have magical powers, but she is smart and beautiful and not perfect at the beginning because she is afraid of the Beast and, you know, kind of judges him by his looks and all of that. But I don't know. She didn't have to be a ninja to be a hero, and I love that. I love that because I think it's much more realistic. And I think sometimes expecting little girls to be like amazing at everything is a little intimidating. So I think that she's a great role model in that way. Anyway, that's my mug of the day. Oh, and this sweater is knit in my hand-dyed yarn, Mystery Mouse Yarn Company on Etsy. And this is my Agatha colorway. And I wanted to knit something in my own yarn because I never had before, or at least never finished anything in my own yarn. And it worked out really good. This is a DK weight, a non-superwash. And I was afraid that it was going to be really kind of scratchy because it's non-superwash, and so it's still got its little wool hooks. But it's not. It's really nice. So I'm glad it worked out good. Let's see. So that is my finished object. I don't think I have any other finishes of things that I've been working on. So I will talk about some whips. This did not make an appearance last time. This is my Beauty and the Beast pullover by Megan Reagan. I think I kind of took a pause on this because the rounds are really long, and it's fingering weight, and so and it's at its like widest point, I think, you know, when you're still doing the yoke over the arms, and you haven't bound off for the sleeves yet. But I think the biggest thing was that my brown that I was using was one that I dyed very early on when I started dyeing yarn. And it was almost not a tonal, it was almost flat. So it was a little bit boring, and it was just a little bit too dark because I'm knitting the main color. I never talk about the yarn in this. This is Stroll Fingering from Knit Picks. That's what most of this sweater is made out of. And this is a 75, 25, 75 superwash merino, 25 nylon. It's fingering weight. What else can I tell you about this? It's very soft. It tends to pull a little bit, I think, but this has been rolling around in my bag for a while, and it's a little fuzzy. But that doesn't bother me. But the main color here that I'm using is called Orbit Tonal. And it's a very dark blue, kind of a blue. I mean, it's definitely blue, but it's got like black in it almost, or navy. So it's really dark. And so my brown just wasn't showing up super good. And I'm on the Cogsworth part, the clock. So I was at Hobby Lobby looking at the yarn. And in their hand-dyed yarn section, they had this brown, which I'm not sure what it's called. I'm sorry. It's brown. Maybe chestnut, something like that. Anyway, this is the color of Cogsworth. It's that mahogany, like reddish golden brown. So I was like, that's it. That's what I need for my sweater. That's what I need to keep going. So I ripped out that whole clock thing. I had done the whole clock face and started in on the body chart that I wrote out because I want him to be a whole mantle clock, not just a face. And that took one whole night just to rip it out. And then I think it took another night to get it all back on the needles. But now I have done just a little bit in the new thing, and I like it much better. It's showing up really well against the dark blue. So that is what's happening with this. I love this sweater, and I can't wait to wear it. Although, even though it's a fingering weight sweater, I won't be able to wear this until the fall. So it's gonna get done. It's gonna get done. I promise you that I will work on it. Then I will have to work on it. You can write me angry comments. Please don't write me angry comments. It will be so sad. Okay, okay, my other whip is in an acquisition. I bought myself a bag. Oh man, I saw this. She put this on Instagram. This is from Stolen Minutes. Stolen Minutes. And she put this out on Instagram that she was having a shop update, and this was one of the fabrics. And it was like, what am I gonna do? Am I not gonna buy that? So I bought it. I bought the large one. This is a large, and it's nice and big. And it has this fun stripy lining. I think it's their signature. I've never bought a bag from them before. It's very nice. I really like it. And this is one of their signature things. They have a little ring in here for you to put your stitch markers on. So that is very nice. And in this bag, I have the baby sweater I'm working on. It's a Debbie Bliss baby sweater. I didn't bring the magazine down, but it's a cable baby sweater. And in my very first podcast, I talk about this sweater, and I had like this much of the sleeve done. So now, dun, 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 and dun, 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 2 sleeves. So what I did, because when I had stopped, I was starting to increase for the sleeves, and I really hate doing things where they have to match and doing them one at a time. And you know, when there's numbers like that in rows, and I don't like counting rows, I don't know. So what I did was I cast on the other sleeve with the same needles, you know, and worked it up till it was the same, and then I did them both. I did them 2 at a time, so that I did the increases together, and I knew that they were the same length and all of that. I still think one of them might be like 1 row shorter, but maybe not. So anyway, it's a really nice cable baby sweater, drop shoulder, of course knit in pieces because it's very kind of old school British pattern. But that's how I started knitting, so that doesn't really bother me. I don't mind finishing. I think it's kind of exciting to get all the pieces out and have a big sew up. And so next I need to cast on the back, I think. And I wanted to show you. I did not have size 3 needles. This is on size 3 needles that were the same length. So I bought myself new needles. I had to go to 3 places before I found somewhere that sold size 3 needles of any kind. Of any kind. They all started with size 4. I was like, what? So anyway, nobody does fine knitting anymore. I got these at Joann's. These are Susan Bates, size 3. And I'm really happy I found them. They're nice and long too, because I needed long ones because I was doing both of the sleeves. And one of my needles that I had was this big. And so it was like, it was a mess. But, you know, the ribbing and stuff is on 2s. So here's my 2s. They don't match. I mean, they're both 2s. I hope they're the same width. They're supposed to be. I don't know what it is. All my 2s and 3s, I only have 1 of each one. I mean, I have several sets, evidently, but I don't know where the rest of them are. So, but I will be using these mismatched ones because I'm not going out and buying more knitting needles if I don't need to. So anyway, I have all the yarn in here. This is Debbie Bliss Baby Cash Merino, which is a beautiful yarn. It's kind of expensive to get here in the States, but it has, let's see, it's kind of like it's like a baby weight, so I think it's sport weight. And it's 55% wool, 33% acrylic, which is like microfiber, and 12% cashmere. So it's really soft, and it's not supposed to be machine washable, but I have definitely accidentally washed other baby cashmerino garments, and they have always come out fine, which doesn't mean I would do it, but it's nice to know if you accidentally do it. It's not the end of the world. So I'm going to be casting on the back, and I'm kind of looking forward to that because once you get into the rhythm of the cables, it's really a mindless, you know, knit the knits and purl the pearls kind of knit. And you always need one of those. Usually it's socks, but sometimes it's nice if it's not socks. So that is my new bag and my old baby project. And I got to get that done because my baby is now over a year old. I'm knitting the 12 to 18 month size. And I can tell, like, just from the length of the sleeves, like, they're supposed to go up to about here because it's a drop shoulder. But I can tell that they, like, right now they would be up to his shoulder. So I'm not really worried about it not fitting. I think it'll fit for a while. And that is really all the knitting that I have. If you will excuse me for one moment, I will go get my crochet. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I wanted to show this blanket just because I've done a few rows on it and I haven't shown it, I don't think, in a while. This is my granny stripe crochet blanket. I am crocheting this with a size F hook, 3.75 millimeters. It says F5. I don't know anything about crochet hook sizes, but it's pretty tiny. This is the only one I have in this size, and it's the only one I use almost, so I should get another one. But I'm making this with 10 gram minis, mostly a few leftovers. But I just kind of wanted to show how it's going. This is the bottom where I started. And I kind of developed my my patterning to myself as I went along, so that by here, I mean, I had this rainbow section because I had a bunch of minis I was looking through trying to decide my next color, and I was like, hey, I could kind of do like a little rainbow in the middle of my blanket. And I think this is kind of where I want the middle to be. So, and then what I decided to do after the rainbow is over is I'm just going to pick up one color from the previous mini so that it kind of fades, or at least like it'll be a little bit harder to tell where one stops and the next one starts. So I started doing that, I think here, and I really love this section. It looks like it's like, I don't know, it looks like it's blooming. And then I wasn't sure about this going into this green, but green is one of my favorite colors, you might know, and I love how it looks. It looks so, I don't know, it looks very cottagey to me, like a wildflower meadow. So maybe it's very springy, which now we're getting into summer. Summer is more like brights, but I don't want to do anything too bright in this. So anyway, this is my granny stripe blanket. I think I am just over halfway. I just am trying to make kind of like a large lap blanket. Could be like for my half of the bed. You know, we always end up like, it seems like in the winter, unless it's really cold and we both have extra blankies on, it seems like I always have an extra blankie on and David doesn't. So it's kind of nice to have one that would just be like for my size. So it'd be kind of nice to have one just for my side of the bed. So that's what I'm making it for. And I just, you know, I pulled this out a couple times because I had reached, because it was late at night and I wanted to knit. Well, not late at night, but it was too late to be doing anything complicated, and I had gotten to places where I needed to like either cast on something. So it'd be kind of nice to have one just for my side of the bed. So that's what I'm making it for. And I just, you know, I pulled this out a couple times because I had reached, because it was late at night and I wanted to knit. Well, not late at night, but it was too late to be doing anything complicated, and I had gotten to places where I needed to like either cast on something or do something more difficult or just think, and I couldn't. And this is really nice for that. The only thing about crochet is that you have to look at it. At least I have to look at it, because you have to see where you're going to put your hook in. And with knitting, you can feel it. You know, you can just feel that little stitch on the needle, but since it's not on the needle, I think that's why I can't feel it. So. And I'm just connecting all my minis with magic knot. So I don't have any ends to weave in. It's really nice. So when I get near the end of a color, I pick the next color and then I do the magic knot, pull it really hard, and then I snip the ends real close and I pull it really hard again. And if it doesn't pop, I figure it's gonna be okay. Okay. So I'm sure that there's other things that I've worked on. I have worked on a little bit of socks here and there when I was trapped out in the wild and I didn't have any other knitting. I know I did a few rows on my Poirot socks, so that is another whip. What should I talk about next? I have this pile of things around me. Let's do book talk. Okay, I finally finished Winston Churchill by Martin Gilbert, Volume 6, Finest Hour, 1939 through 1941. This feels like an accomplishment. And I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. There were a few chapters where they were kind of stuck in limbo, waiting for the United States to come into the war, and things were just going badly, and Russia had joined, and they were trying to like send Russia supplies, but they didn't have much, and it was kind of sad. But we got through that. Pearl Harbor has happened, which was very sad, but it was definitely a reason for the United States to get into the war. And right before I finished this book, we got the next one. And I was like, oh, now I want to read that one. But it's not as fat as this. It's probably like this much. So that's kind of nice. And that's the rest of World War II. And then I think there's one more volume after that, which I don't know if I'll read it or not. It's probably the last 20 years of his life, because he lived until 1965. So 20 years after the war, which is nice. But I'm sure they were not as full as these war years. So I probably will eventually read that. But the next book I'm reading, which I just started today, is this J.R.R. Tolkien, Tales from the Perilous Realm. And these are his collection of fairy tales or fairy stories. Not fairy as in like they have little fairies in them, because he didn't really like that, evidently. But he didn't like the Victorian idea of fairies. He wanted, like, evidently, the British version of fairy is elves. So this was, this is just his take on those kind of magical tales. So I'm really looking forward to getting into this. I actually am in the introduction. I'm always like, oh, I don't need to read the introduction. And then I start reading the introduction and I get sucked in. So it's interesting though, because it gives you a little background and kind of what he was thinking of, and how some of these stories came to be written. A lot of them evidently were told to his children first, which I just love. I love that. And I don't know. I love this cover. I just love the cover. I would totally hang that up in my house. So anyway, this is my next summer reading book, and hopefully it won't take me too long to get through it. It's pretty, compared to my other one, it's a nice normal sized book. So that's what I'm reading right now. I do have a couple of book acquisitions, including a knitting book acquisition. So first of all, in my obsession with World War II right now, I got this book. This was actually my mom's, and I was like, Mom, I could have used this when I was teaching that class on World War II, but I think it was in her crawl space, and she just got it out because our church had a used book sale. And so I was able to snag this. But this is Women at War, the women of World War II at home, at work, on the front line. It's a Reader's Digest book, and it is full of pictures and interesting things, posters all around the world. Just fascinating. So I'm definitely going to be looking at that and probably showing this to my kids also. Not related to World War II. I picked up this copy of The Black Arrow. The reason I picked this up, I was at an estate sale. I never go to estate sales. It was like a thing. I went with one of my friends from church. It was in her town that she lives in. And she told me about it. And so we went, and it was this amazing old house. I mean, I live in Colorado. Old houses are from like the 50s. There are no old buildings here. I mean, we're called the Centennial State because we got our statehood in 1876. There's just nothing out here. And especially in my area, I'm just north of Denver. The little towns and cities and suburbs and stuff really didn't start getting even built until the 1960s. So this house was from the late 1800s. It was very, I don't know, Victorian, Edwardian. It wasn't a giant house, but they had still a lot of outbuildings. Like there was little garages that were separate, and like a little guest house. And of course, and I don't know anything about the people who owned it, but I think they must have been descended from the original owners, because there was tons and tons of stuff. I mean, there was antique stuff, and then there was just old stuff, and then there was modern junk, you know? So, but this is The Black Arrow by Robert Louis Stevenson, who wrote Kidnapped and Treasure Island. And I love it. It has the name of the guy who owned this book. I like to imagine that he was some little boy. It's in really good shape. I hope you read it. But I wanted to see if it says when it was printed. Printed in the United States of America. I don't think this has a date in it. But anyway, it's in beautiful condition, and it's just, oh, and the reason I decided to get this was because in that last Tommy and Tuppence Agatha Christie book I read, Postern of Fate, one of the clues is in the Black Arrow, or she's like reading it or something. Anyway, they mention it, and I'd never even heard of it, because that's what happens nowadays. There's so much stuff in the world that a lot of these like lesser known classics, they just get lost, and it's sad. And she was talking about how it was such an exciting story, and I love Treasure Island. I read that to my kids, I remember, and it was like, wow, this is a really good book. So I'm excited to read that. Maybe I'll read that to the kids too, because it's always nice when you can read an old book and it's fun, and you can be like, oh yes, they used this word back then because of blah blah, and you can accidentally teach them things. Well, not accidentally, but as far as they know. All right, and my last book that I got that was knitting related is I picked this up at Barnes & Noble the other day. Shawls, Wraps, and Scarves, 21 Elegant and Graceful Hand Knit Patterns by Louisa Harding. So I had a reason for picking this up. I like shawls. I like knitting shawls. I have not done a ton of shawls, and I haven't done one in a long time. And let me just show you a little bit about the book first. This is one of my favorite shawls, this cream one. It's called like a textured, I'll look at it. I'll tell you what the real title is. But I think it's so pretty. These models are so chic. I think that sometimes they do that on purpose. Like, you know, if you just knit this thing, you'll look like this when you put it on. This is called Liana Textured Trellis Shawl. I just think that is so pretty. I might make that someday. And some of these are just written out instructions, and some of them have charts. Let's see. I love this one. This buttons down the front, so it looks like a cardigan or a shirt of some sort, but it's just, this is Ariella. It's just across the back, as you can see. It's really pretty. That's pretty. I think this is the cover one. Generva. It's very pretty. This one has color work on it. Rizel. It's very pretty. I love color work. And then they have scarves, which are just much thinner. Some of them you could almost call a wrap, but you would probably wear them like a scarf. This is pretty. This has little hearts in it. Ashna. I like this one, but I think it's just because it's red. Ilara. I love red. I just think it always looks so nice. It looks so, I don't know. Looks good. So, I'm sorry, I'm not showing you everything, but there's a lot of good, pretty shawls in here. And I hope that I knit a couple things out of here. There's a couple things that I'm interested in. But the reason that I picked that up was because, as you may know, my shop is offering an advent calendar for the holiday season. And I had someone message me on Etsy and say, are you going to include a pattern in your advent calendar? Because I never know what to do with my minis. And I was like, I could have said, no, but it'll still be a great advent calendar, and I think I really like it. Or I could have said, no, but here's some suggestions of other people's advent calendar patterns that you would probably like to knit. But no, I didn't do those things. I was like, well, I wasn't planning to, but sure, I could do that. So I'm trying to design a wrap pattern. I decided to do a rectangular wrap, and once it's all for sure, I'll put it in the description of my advent calendar so that people know that it's going to be in there. But I'm still kind of in the research and development stage. As I've never actually, well, I have knitted things without a pattern plenty of times, and I have made my own pattern for myself, but I have never written a pattern that other people are going to have to follow. And hence, there is the rub. So I know that I'm going to need a tech editor and test knitters. So if you are or know of either of those things and would like to let me know, please do so. I don't know what I'm doing, and I would really like to have a nice quality product and not just give them a bunch of notes and a piece of graph paper. I don't think that would be appreciated. So if you have written patterns before and have used a tech editor and you would recommend them to me, or tell them to get in touch with me or give me their contact information, that would be great. I think you're supposed to tech edit before you test. So that's what I'm planning to do. And I'll put a call out on Instagram probably in a few days, because I knit myself a little sample and I kind of need to know what people think of this, because I like it, and but I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who would like this. So if you are getting my advent calendar and you want to be surprised, skip ahead 5 or so minutes. I don't know how to do those little chapter things yet. Just skip ahead a little bit, because I'm going to hold up my little sample, and hopefully you guys will see what I'm talking about. Now, first of all, you have to realize that I'm a very literal person. I like pictures of things, and I like them to look how they are in real life, within reason. In knitting, that is not always possible. Also, I think books are beautiful. I think they are decorative, and I love to look at them, and I love things that look like books. I love books in mass. I love lots of books. So with that in mind, this is my sort of idea. Okay. So I would like to do a rectangular wrap. This is obviously not a rectangular wrap. This is a square. But imagine, if you will, a much longer version of this. So, and I'm going to call it the Victorian bookshelf. So, it will be knit flat. I started knitting here, and I just knit these books as garter stripes. So my idea is to have, them open a mini and be able to knit a certain number of garter ridges for that day's stripe, and then on and so forth until they get to the end of the wrap. And then I picked up stitches and I knit a brown shelf along the bottom of the books. And then I left those stitches live. And then I picked up stitches and I did a little bit of stockinette for the back part of the shelf. This sort of negative space here where it's dark. Does it need to be there? If it doesn't, please let me know. If it is detracting or whatever, or distracting, do I need to put like a ridge here to delineate the end of that darkness? It's kind of difficult when there is no one to ask these questions to. Anyway, so then I left those stitches live, and of course I had the end of my knitting live. So then I just had to pick up stitches along the cast on row, which you could cast on provisionally. Then you wouldn't have to worry about picking up stitches. Well, I mean, so you do have to pick up stitches to do the black part and the brown part, but then you don't have to pick up a million stitches for the border because you've already picked them up like half at a time. Does that make sense? So then you just go around and around, and I did this lace border, which I think is the thing that I'm still working on, because I didn't just want to take somebody else's lace. So I looked around and I got some inspiration. I got some inspiration out of here, but you know, I just sort of fiddled with it until I got something like what I wanted. So, but what I really want is for there to be more of a scallopy edge. So, and this will be in the main color skein. These colors are not the advent calendar colors. These are just some minis I had. So, and then when I was done, I just took a yarn needle and some gold, and I just sewed this onto the top. Now, I suppose people would not have to do that. It certainly is not structurally necessary, but I think this really makes it look like books. So if that's what you're going for, then that's what I would do. But once again, is this weird? Am I the only person who's going to think this is cool? If you didn't want to wear this, I mean, obviously this is like the doily version. This is like you put it under your, you know, or the placemat version. But you could make it into a table runner, I suppose, because it's going to just be a long rectangle. This would be an amazing library room table runner. So I just need some feedback. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you would like to test knit. I'm going to need it back, like, when will I be able to get it to you? I don't know. But I'm going to need your feedback back before I send my advent calendar out so I can finalize everything. And so probably the end of September. So if that sounds like that's something you'd be interested in, please leave a comment below and let me know, and I will mark you down. And you'll have to either watch for a reply in the comments or give me some sort of way to contact you. You could give me your Instagram handle if I don't have it already, that sort of thing. So please let me know what you think, and if you have any suggestions or would like to help me out with that, I would really appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. Okay, so I do have a few things for the shop. Oh, one more little acquisition. I got these at Hobby Lobby. They're so cute. They're a little bit heavy to be stitch markers, but I think I might at least make Lumiere and Cogsworth into stitch markers for my Beauty and the Beast sweater. I just wanted to show you. These are with the beads and stuff. They're obviously like for a charm bracelet, but I'm not gonna wear a charm bracelet with them. Anyway, stitch markers are the way to go. So I have a few shop update things, and the thing is, I think I am actually going to have an actual shop update. I usually just put things in the shop when they're done and then announce it on Instagram or whatever, but I think I'm going to have an actual shop update. So can you mark it down? This Friday at 12 o'clock Eastern. 12 o'clock Eastern. This is 10 o'clock my time. I gotta remember this. 10 o'clock Friday. This Friday, what is the date? So please mark it down. Friday, July 1st at 12 o'clock Eastern time. I'm going to have a shop update. Here is what will be in the shop. I have a few skeins, very few. I think there's three skeins of the same Agatha DK non-superwash that I made my sweater with. This used almost exactly 3 skeins for me, and I have like a 42 to 44 bust kind of situation, and I had like a little tiny ball left. So this is a sweater's quantity for a lot of people, not everybody, but I had 3 left. So that will be in the shop. I also, I have a new DK that I'm gonna call Arthur. I'm putting it with this book because it looks nice. This is Arthur, for Arthur Conan Doyle, who wrote Sherlock Holmes. And this is brown and tan tonal with burgundy speckles. Very manly and Victorian, I think. And this would be a great vest. I can just see this as like a cabled vest or textured vest. So I'm going to have, I have 6 skeins of this, and this is a superwash. This is 100% superwash merino DK. So that will be in the shop. I have one more new name DK. This is called Nancy. I have been doing a Nancy Drew series. By the way, if you love Nancy Drew, I highly recommend this book. This is by Grosset and Dunlap. I got this probably 15 years ago. I think when Nancy Drew was having a birthday of some sort. But this is one of those books that has like the little things that, you know, you can open up, and there's all kinds of little things to look at and take out of envelopes, and it's so cute. I love it. But anyway, this is Nancy, and this is like a golden yellow tonal with pink speckles. This would be a really cute summer sweater. So, and this is in a wool and silk blend that I wanted to try out for the shop. I only have 4 skeins, but 4 skeins would make you a summer sweater. So if you want it, you better grab it. That's all I've got for now is 4 skeins. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful, soft, silky. It's got a little bit of a sheen to it. I definitely will be, hopefully, doing some more of that. Okay, and then I have restocked my very popular Mystery of Lilac In sock set. Nancy Drew inspired sock set. This is teal and yellow, some teal speckles, and a lilac mini. And when I put this up originally, it sold out in about 10 minutes, which is very unusual for me. That was very exciting, but also like, oh, I should have made more. So I have more of those, and I have a new Nancy Drew reveal. Okay. The Clue in the Old Album. This is one of my favorite Nancy Drews, and I'm super proud of this, this red. I worked hard on this sucker to get it. That dark, moody red with like black. And it's got a lot of variation in it, and I really like it. And then this bright yellow mini to go with her yellow shirt she's wearing. I am really excited about this one. So once again, sometimes, not always, but sometimes these sell out quickly. So you might want to check it out. And that will be Friday at 10 o'clock for me. I gotta remember, Friday at 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock Eastern. And, you know, I'm going to try to remember to put in my shop a section or a listing for if you want to order a sweaters quantity, like a pre-order of any of my more signature colors. Like sock sets are not really signature colors. Those are going to come and go. But like Agatha, Arthur, Nancy, I would consider Poirot, I think, a signature color. Holmes or Watson. What else do I have? I'd have to look. I'm sure there's some more. But if any colors that I've had in the past, you could always ask. I mean, but because I don't always want to dye up a sweater's quantity, and of course a sweater's quantity is going to be different for different people, but I would say a sweater's quantity will usually be any 3 skeins, because you will often be able to find 2 skeins of the same color, but 3 or more might be more difficult. So keep your eyes open for that. And my Etsy shop will be linked in the description box below. And I'll try to link this pattern for the sweater I'm wearing, and Stolen Minute for my bag. I mean, those bags are sold out, but you could always contact her and ask her if she's going to restock that, because I know it's sold out really quick. But anyway, I think that's it. So, oh, and I'm going to put a little video in at the end of Grady's wall in my room. We only have 3 bedrooms in our house, and we have 5 kids. So we have the boys in a room and the girls in a room, and then we have Grady. And so, you know, he still wakes up sometimes in the night, so we don't want to put him in with any of the kids yet. And so he's got like one wall of our room that we decorated for him. And I had made a hot air balloon, like baby wall hanging blanket thing. So I showed that on the podcast a few episodes ago. So I wanted just to show what it looked like all done with the rest of the stuff on the wall. So I'll do a little video at the end of what that looks like, and you can see that. What's going on in our lives right now? It seems like we're really busy. I don't know why the summer always seems busier than the rest of the year, and the rest of the year we're doing all of these other things that we're not doing in the summer. I guess it's just different. And I think sometimes different can be hard. I do not like the summer. I don't like being out of my routine, and I don't like being hot. So I really have to, you know, try to focus on good things. And I do find that it helps me a lot in the summer to feel like I'm preparing for the fall, which I love the fall, and for Christmas, which is like the highlight of the year for me. I love Christmas. And I always have lots of making plans and things that I want to do. Maybe next podcast, I will share some of my things that I want to make for my kids for Christmas, because I'm going to try to make everybody at least one and maybe more handmade gift this year. Some people do not like gift knitting, and I don't like gift knitting for people I don't know very well. But I think I love making things for people that I love and that I know will appreciate them. So my kids are always worth that. So maybe next time, if I remember, I will show you some of the things I plan to make. I'm starting to collect some patterns and materials, which is like the funnest part, right? You just buy stuff, you don't have to do anything. One big thing that I'm doing this summer is I am writing a musical for my homeschool group. We're doing A Christmas Carol in the fall. And so I'm going to write a musical just for our co-op. Obviously, I'm going to use the story, you know, the original. I'm not doing like a weird modern version or anything, which would be fun, but I want to make it classic. But I'm going to write the music, and I'm really excited about that. It's a little intimidating because it's such a big project, but I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to doing it. And, you know, one of the things that I've discovered about myself is that I really like big projects. I prefer big projects to little projects, which may be why I have a hard time with socks and stuff like that. And even hats. I just don't knit very many hats. I usually tackle bigger things. I just really like to get my teeth into something and stay there for a while. I know that even with the things that I watch, I prefer like watching through shows to like watching a movie, especially at night, because I know that if I watch a show, I can live there for a while. And if I watch a movie, it's over in a couple hours. And unless it's a big series, you can't go back unless you just start the movie over again. So, so I'm looking forward to that, and I need to get cracking on that. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you hopefully in a couple weeks. I always want to like record in a couple weeks, and then it just doesn't work out because David took the kids out of the house, and I'm so thankful for that, because otherwise they come and like stare at me awkwardly while I'm trying to talk. And it's already hard enough talking to a little dot on the back of my iPad. And so anyway, but I will try to be back before too long, and I hope you have a wonderful time knitting. I hope you have a wonderful 4th of July. Happy 4th of July if you're in the United States. Go watch some fireworks, eat some barbecue, and I will see you next time. Bye.